Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for the untimely and tragic death of James Grable, former member of the Elmville community. Thank you. Call for a motion for the approval of the minutes of the November 24th, 2020 meeting.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Call for approval of the minutes of the December 3rd, 2020
So
special
moved.
meeting.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Public forum for this evening? No one? We'll move on. Reports and correspondence. I have nothing for this evening. Board membership? Have nothing. Superintendent Lisa Wiles.
Yeah, I just shared a letter with you today that went out to our faculty and staff. There'll be a letter going out to our parents and guardians tomorrow that defines the yellow, orange, and red zones. And for the parents and the community that's out there listening, there's a form or an online form that you can fill out with regard to participating in testing, whether we're in a yellow, red, or orange zone, or just testing in general. So that letter, watch for that letter out tomorrow. There'll be more correspondence that gets pushed out during the week to the staff and to the parents regarding the zones and reopening and such. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent for Business, Mr. Napoli.
I have nothing to report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Assistant
I
Superintendent
have a question for Vince.
Iris.
Vince, I read the report about the farm to school grant. So do you know why the hospital can't be the lead agency, and what happens if they don't find a lead agency?
Well, we don't know why. We're trying to figure out why they pulled the hospital from being the lead agency. Matt Igo, he's the president of the Rondout Valley Growers Association. He's agreed to step up either probably through the RVGA to be the lead agency. We're just waiting on approval for that. So I'm not really worried about not being able to continue with the planning grant. And then if that works out, to actually move to the actual farm to school grant. But Iris, we're still trying to figure out why they said yes back at the beginning and now they pulled it from us.
Okay, and I have one other question. I read the report about this food service program, and it was really quite a good report. I mean, they seem to be doing a really wonderful job there. I'm just wondering, how do kids take home hot meals? It means they're not prepared, but they have to be heated up at home. Is that what that is?
Well, we prepare them and then we package them in a cardboard biodegradable container. We put it with all the other things that go with it, and then we send it home. And by the time the kids get home, it's not ice cold. It's warm enough for them to eat. It's like going on a picnic, and they can and should reheat it in a microwave so that it's warm and not, or it's warmer and not cool.
And there was also a suggestion in there that when they send home many meals at once, to include some preparation information. Did you read that, Vince?
I did, and after that recommendation, we started to do that. So things like make sure you warm this, whatever it is, up to 165 degrees. So if we're sending home a hamburger patty, it's going to go home cold. It's not going to be on bread. So we want people to know that you got to put it in the microwave and warm it up. Now, some people like me would just throw it on a bun, put some ketchup on it, and just eat it cold. But not everybody's like that. So we want to tell people, make sure you warm it up to 165 so that it's, at the right temp.
And so the school district is sending that information home online or with a flyer, or how are we doing that?
Both. We put it on the menu, and then we also send it home with each bag when there's something that needs to be reheated. Some things we send home that don't have to be reheated, then we don't have to include that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Mrs. Kelly White.
Good evening. Just two things I wanted to touch base on. The survey results from our Panorama survey have been uploaded into board docs and will be released to the school community at some point this week. And we'll be using the results from the survey to develop our district improvement plan and improvement plan from the middle school. So we'll be identifying some additional priorities out of those for our focus as we work to move back into good standing with the state. Additionally, at the next board meeting, I'm going to be bringing some requests to approve professional development. At some point this week, I will be putting out a few course offerings to teachers for some additional professional development. That'll be offered by Tech Equipment. That was one of the companies we contracted with this summer, and we had some really great feedback from. And they're going to be building on the courses that were offered this summer. So if somebody took something that was more introductory, they're going to be adding to it. And before the workshops begin, there'll be a pre-workshop survey that goes out to the teachers just so that they can tailor the professional development directly to what their needs are. So we're excited to get that out and hopefully get them approved at our next meeting.
At all? You good?
Oh, I'm sorry, one other thing. The parent technology training that we were going to originally be trying to schedule for early December, we're going to be pushing that off to January or until we just have an improvement in the current health crisis. The training really would be best in person. The audience that's for is for people that really are limited in their understanding of the use of the Chromebook and Google Classroom. So an alternative in the meantime is that we spoke to the TV and radio station about is creating some tutorials up on our YouTube channel and also playing those and promoting them through the local television station. But when it is safe to bring people into the buildings, we will offer those in-person classes to provide an additional level of support. Jody?
Jody?
So I saw in your report, Kelly, that the survey, some of them were a couple hundred people responded and some there were only, 40 or 50. Did we offer that different ways that we had better turnout from one areas and not others?
Are you talking about internally or through the survey to the community?
Well, some of them were for students and there was higher numbers with the students. But for certain parts, some of them seemed like they answered more questions. Did we offer them like during a class or how did that happen?
Yeah, so the students in grades 3 through 5 had a survey, and then 6 through 12 had the same survey, and they also had an additional diversity and inclusion survey. We had our teachers promote the surveys, but we really recommended that they use time 3 through 5 during their homeroom block to administer the survey. They were given a script to read if the students had reading challenges, directions on how the students could change the language if they needed to, but they were supposed to reserve time in the class to go through the survey with the students. In grades 6 through 12, we had our social studies teachers set time aside to administer the survey during class. So I was surprised to see only 50% of the students still participated. Surveys aren't mandatory, so I figured we would have had a higher percentage, but I'm hoping when we administer in the spring, maybe with people viewing the results and seeing that the impact that they could have in terms of improvement plans around here, we'll get a better turnout.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. White. We'll move on to 5.1, approval of IEPs. Resolved that the attached list of student IEPs be acknowledged as
So moved.
appropriate.
Second.
Move to second discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Personnel resolutions for this evening under 6.1. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the following daily rates shall be paid to per diem substitute teachers for the 2021 school year. And there are a list of them.
So moved. The list. Second.
List has been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? One no. That's Mr. Stewart. On 7.1, Resolve the architect payment for professional services, additional services, and reimbursable expenses, invoice number 72120 in the amount of $113,600.59 be approved for Clark Patterson Lee.
So moved.
Moved. Do I have a second? Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Under other, resolve the following library books be accessed.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion?
And could you read those titles to us, please?
I will read them very slowly.
Move the list.
List has been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Records retention. Resolved that the Ellenville Central School District hereby adopt the new retention and disposition schedule for New York.
Move the
Local-
resolution in its entirety.
Been moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion?
So Vince, could you just explain to everybody what this is so that people know?
I sure can. So there are certain documents in local governments, we are considered a local government, that have to be retained for a certain period of time. And those documents vary from a year to an eternity. And I don't know when the original ED1 was adopted, but that was the original records retention that set that definition of time of how long certain documents needed to be retained. Well, New York State Archives through New York State, they actually set a new records retention schedule, the LGS1. And in order for us to dispose of any records, we have to adopt the new records retention schedule before we can dispose of any of those records. So for example, time cards, there might be a 6-year records retention on time cards. After 6 years, we can dispose of them. We wouldn't be able to do that if we did not adopt this new schedule set forth by New York State.
Does the records retention times differ for different documents?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So say, a teacher retires, their records are longer or?
Well, so certain personnel records are for forever. We can never dispose of them. But some records, for example, the logs that we take every day when people come into the building, when we're checking their temperature, make sure they're passing the public health questionnaire, they have a 1-year record retention. After a year, we dispose of them. I'm the records retention officer, but Beth Kozlowski, she's the record retention clerk, and it's her responsibility to manage the records that are in the basement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. 6.3, be it resolved the community service requirement for students graduating June 2021 be waived.
So moved.
Moved?
Second.
Discussion? Wayne?
Is this for all students? Is this for the Honor Society? What exactly?
This is the requirement for the students that are graduating in June of 2021.
And what about the students that are in Honor Society and need the additional 20 or 40 hours?
I can look into that. This is just for the seniors this year. For I'm not sure what they've done for the Honor Society, but I will double check that.
So if I can, I'm not opposed to changing it, but waiving it, there's still a lot of things to be done in the community. I saw Mr. Napoli delivering, food or something from People's Place to a local church today, and he had a couple students helping him. So I certainly think that we should do something because the students have been, hurt so badly over the past year and a half. I just don't know that waiving it and making it nothing is the thing to do. Kids have to have skin in the game. And they've had 2 years, if they're graduating this year, to have some community service hours. So I'm not sure that 0 is the right number. But again, I'm not opposed, but just for conversation.
John?
I agree with Mr. Story. I could see modifying the amount of hours. I mean, there's no doubt that the last 2 classes at Ellenville High School, like all over the state and country, have lost a lot. But I think there should be some time required.
Anybody else on the issue?
I agree.
Reverend Collins?
I agree.
I don't know what we're gonna do about it, but I agree.
Well-
We need to lessen it because of the availability and getting out there, but I don't think.
Table the motion until we have
Then
a
table it.
number.
I need a
Or
motion to
can
table.
we accept a motion to modify it now? What are the total number of hours, Lisa?
Right, the total number of hours is 40 hours, and the way it was built, it was 10 hours a year. So, if the students were in ninth and 10th grade, they could have, if they were, knocking off 10 hours a year, 20 hours. So that's an option. You wanted to do, anywhere up to 20, it's
If
really up to
the
board.
person that made the motion would accept the amendment, I would suggest 10 hours. I mean, the people that did it for the first few years are good. The people that didn't do anything for the first 2 or 3 years have to get 10. I think that's reasonable.
Wayne, you're the maker of the
That's-
motion?
It's fine with me as long as there's, like I said, I just think that there should be something, whatever. But we also have to figure out,
I see.
because for the children that are graduating with honors, for the Honor Society, there's additional requirements for that as well.
Jody?
I think I second.
Yeah.
So I know there's a requirement, and I think that we should hold some people accountable, but I also think we might want to take the list that they have to use to go to the only certain places, and maybe we should expand that to that even if they do community service within their family, there's probably people who cannot leave their home, and if there's something they can do for their family and they can sign off as an adult in the house, we should acknowledge them.
The plausibility of that?
Yeah.
Plausible.
Yeah.
All right, that's acceptable to the superintendent and how about the maker of the motion?
I'm good.
Second is Mr. Collins. Are you satisfied with that? Motion's been amended and modified to read that be it resolved that the community service requirement for students graduating June 21 will be 10 hours. All any further discussion?
Yeah, we'll notify the students what the parameters are of that, as Jody suggested.
Yes, yes, we will.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor? Opposed, no one? Motion carries unanimous. I neglected to add when we stood for a moment of silence, and I want to just ask somebody to make a motion. We adjourn tonight's meeting when we get to that point in the honor of Loretta Gallo, who passed away and was a member, a employee of this district for several years. So when we get to that, if somebody could do that, because I neglected to add her. The next meeting is December 22nd. Please mark your calendars, 3 days before Christmas. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting in the memory of Loretta Gallo.
I will be happy to make that motion. I knew Loretta as a young kid growing up in Ellenville, and the family was really good. Her and her husband were really good people in the community. She's a big loss.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one? We're adjourned.